Hi and welcome to another tutorial from basegame.co.uk. This is the very basics of Unity, so if you've never used it before, this is just total basics, getting to know the layout and how to import, etc. Okay, so we've got Unity Hub open here. We can create a new project now. The 2D project is set up for 2D games, basically. So that's a very simple setup. Then you've got the simple 3D setup, and then 3D with extras, which has the presets and the example content. And then you've got the high definition render pipeline. That's if you want to use VFX, like visual effects graph and shader graph. And then the universal render pipeline, that's if you want to use the shader graph as well. Now they've added some new things here, so they've got like game starter packs basically that you can use. So we're just going to go for a basic 3D and we'll just call it Unity 101, and we're going to make a folder somewhere, desktop, temporary, new little folder, Unity 101, select that folder, click create, and now we're going to want to fast forward this a little bit. Okay, so now that we're in Unity, we can have a look about. First of all, we'll open up the file here, and we're going to save the scene as scene01. So there we go, we've got scene 1 there. And then very importantly, we need to go to the build settings and add the open scene to the build settings. So every scene that you want in the final build will have to be in here. Now you can see this is set up for PC, Mac and Linux standalone, but you can change it to Android, WebGL and etc. And this is where you would press build if you wanted to build the final project. The player settings, you can change the icon, resolution and presentation, splash image that shows when you load the game, all sorts of other settings that we're not going to go into right now. So that's the main part of that, so we can close this window. Scene 1 is in there. Lovely. Okay, so here we have the hierarchy. This is everything that's in your scene. At the moment there's a light and a camera. Okay, so this is the scene view, and this is the game view. So the game view is what the camera sees. So if I was to rotate the camera a bit, you can see that it updates over there. In the scene view, you can move stuff about, scale it, rotate it, all sorts of things. So if I press W, I can move this camera around. If I press E, that's for rotation, and R is for scaling. Okay. This is the inspector window. This is where you see all the different variables for each object, for the object that you've selected. So you could change the color of the light. Change the camera settings, solid color, skybox, etc. Okay, so this is the asset store window. This is where you can purchase assets. It's the Unity asset store, or you can get free ones as well. And this is the animator window, which is not the same as the animation window. So the animator window is when you've got an object with multiple animations on it, you can control it in here. This is for collaboration, so you can collaborate with other people. This is services that you can add, different accounts, layers, and the layout to change the layout of the windows. Okay, down here we have the project window that contains all your it's your folder system, so anything you've imported, your scripts, sprites, 3D objects, anything will be in here, maybe in one of the folders here. So to import something, we'll just right click in here and I'll import some assets. So I've got an MP3 and a picture, so I'm just going to select them and import. And once they're imported, you'll be able to see, if I select one, in the inspector, you can see the import settings here. So I'm going to change the texture type to Sprite 2D and UI. And then in the scene, I'm just going to drag and drop. Oops, I need to apply this here first. No, I can drag and drop that into the scene. Scale it, or rotate it, etc. Get it somewhere in the middle. Now the import settings for this MP3. What we're going to do is we're going to select, in the hierarchy, we're going to select this picture object, and we're going to drag this very loud MP3 into here, and we're going to turn the volume right down because it's super loud in this one, I think. Okay, so here we have all sorts of different settings, but the main one is play on awake, which means will the sound play as soon as the game starts, and loop to make it loop. So now when we press play, we should have some kind of sound effects going on. Okay, great. Now in the console window, this is where you get any errors, and this is all your debugging information. Okay, so if I wanted to add an animation to this object, while it's selected, I'd press create here, and I'll just leave it as called new animation, that's fine. If I press the record here, now anything I do here is going to update into here. It's going to create a frame. You can also do things like change the color over time. So I might want to copy, Control C and Control V to make a looping animation. Then I might go to the middle here and spin it around like that. Change the color to red. Maybe even, oops, I could move it if I wanted to, maybe scale it a bit. Okay, so now when we press play, switch off the record arm. Okay, so that's the basics of it. Finally, if we were happy with that and we wanted to export the game, we would go to build settings here and we would build it like such. Choose a place to put it and then build. You can also build and run, so it will build it and run it automatically. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. It is Unity 101, so there you go. Pretty simple. Okay. If you want to help us and support us, get over to basegame.co.uk and get some assets from us or something. We'd appreciate that very much. Okay, all the best. Goodbye.